Hey, everybody. Welcome to What's Happening Central Oregon.
What's happening?
What's happening? Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. It's a good day.
It is a good day.
Well, mixed results. We're here set up. We're ready to go. We're going to bring you guys all the local awesome news stories that you want to know about coming right up. And then, again, we're still working on this whole situation with everything. We got microphones everywhere in our face, cameras in our face everywhere.
3 cameras, 3 microphones. It is definitely a work in progress.
We're getting used to it. So, you wanna let's see stories.
Go ahead and take us through the stories.
Okay, what are we going over today? We're going to go over the electrification of Oregon. That'll be a really hot topic. In fact, I anticipate we spend quite a bit of time on that. Then we're going to go into some new building codes to ease the burden of building here in the area in the state of Oregon. Probably going to touch on some. No, we're not going to go over that one today. That's not good. We're going to touch on electricity quite a bit today. Then we're also going to talk about the new wildfire hazard map. We talked about it a few weeks ago on one of our last shows, how they released a new fire map. And we talked about how there was an uproar the first time they did back in 2022.
Yeah.
Well, we were early when we talked about it a month ago, I guess, because now there's all kinds of drama.
A lot of drama. But I think a lot of these topics are kind of previous podcasts. We talked about it. It's kind of just layers, like an onion.
Like an onion. Then we're going to talk a little bit about some business news, a couple of new things coming to the area that are kind of cool that people are talking about. You're going to like hearing about that. Ooh, and I got a story about that.
You got a story?
Well, it didn't work out the way I wanted to. You'll know what I'm talking about when we get to it. So let's go ahead and get things kicked off with our first story here. You know what I haven't done yet? We got to present. We got to bring up our extra screen here. Boom. It's coming up in here just a minute. Bear with us, people. Oh, you don't want to see that. Ashland approves. And then what I do, I'm going to go back to this for a second. We're almost there. I promise. Stick with us. Don't go away. Don't tune out. In a bold move to curb emissions and promote cleaner energy, Ashland, down southern Oregon, just approved a pollution fee on new natural gas hookups, shaking up how the city and potentially the entire region powers its future. So let's go ahead and pull up this article here. The Ashland approves a pollution fee to cut down on new natural gas hookups. So what's going to happen is if you're doing new construction, you're building a new house in Ashland, you want to put in a furnace, fireplace, hot water heater. What am I missing? A range, gas
dryer.
Range. They're going to charge you, and a dryer. You're right, and a gas dryer. They're going to charge you a fee because Ashland and the state of Oregon is trying to clean up, some of the pollution, fossil fuels, stuff like that. And they think that natural gas is bad. And so they want to get rid of it in favor of electricity. Your thoughts?
I think people should have an option on whether or not they want an electric or they want gas. I think it is the personal preference of their home. And I think I love having a gas oven. I love having a gas fireplace. I'm not the kind of person that's going to really want to go chop wood and build a fire, even though fire is wonderful. But I like to flip a switch and there's the gas. I don't think I would be happy with an electric fireplace in a house. It just doesn't have the same effect.
Doesn't quite have the same vibe, does it?
I think I'm concerned with like the electrical grid and stuff. And also by eliminating all of these gas options, how is that going to affect natural gas industry as far as jobs? These are things I don't know. I guess I don't know enough facts about all of this on why and the good and the bad and how it affects the home. But I know that a lot of our clients, they want gas.
So this is actually something that's really, I put this in here because this is in Ashland. This is not a Central Oregon issue, but it's about to become a Central Oregon issue. And so I put this in here specifically because the city of Bend is now looking to put some restrictions on natural gas here in the area. Now, nobody's really heard of this yet because it's very, very early in their preliminary. They're starting to look at all the data, what it all means, and what are some potential things that they could do to lessen the effect of natural gas in the area. So they're looking at all kinds of things, everything from just doing some, like a advertising, education campaign, maybe doing some advertisements and TV commercials, whatever.
Let people make that decision.
Educating people on the they said there's some health risks to natural gas, and then of course there's the burning of fossil fuels, which is creating energy, and how that is bad, carbon emissions, stuff like that. So they're looking everything from education all the way down to downright banning it.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in between is fees, right? And that looks like what Ashland is doing here. Now, there's a couple of things that are really interesting. Again, we could talk about this for the entire 30 minutes, but there's a couple of things that are really interesting here. One of them is the fees, and I'm pretty sure the fees are in here. Yes. So this will cost developers. Now, hold on. Wait. Get me over here, back over. No. Back to here, back to us. Remember, the entire state is struggling with affordability right now.
Yeah.
Bend is massively struggling with affordability, but also so is Ashland.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere is struggling with this. And so even though that we're trying to, save our environment, we also need people to be able to live here. And so here's what they're proposing. To calculate the fee, this will cost developers $4,000 to install a gas furnace, $1,300 to install a gas hot water heater, $728 for a gas fireplace, $374 for a gas stove, and $145 for a gas clothes dryer. Okay.
Normally, if they have gas to a house, the water heater, the furnace, and the fireplace, sometimes you have a gas stove, but like those are, we're talking, $6,000 more on the price.
Yes, it makes housing more expensive.
Yeah.
Right. First of all. Second of all, okay, I'll go ahead and bring up the next. Let me see if I can find it. Yep. Hang on. Here's our next story that we're going to talk about that ties into this. This is Central Oregon Daily News. Lawmakers consider protecting residential utilities customers from yearly winter rate hikes. So now they want to, first of all, they want everything to be more electrified, right? More electricity, which I'm in favor for. We've got solar on our house. I'm in favor of this. But then they want to legislate the amount the electricity companies can charge.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a 40% increase in our power bill in the last 2 years, right?
Yeah. I have a great example of this that I had helped clients buy a home just 2 months ago, and they had their home energy score done like 6 months before that, because the home was on the market for a while. And there was 4 cents difference just in that 6 months on that energy.
Yeah, it was
score. It was 11 cents a watt, and then it went up to like 15 cents,
something like that.
Yeah. And my client brought it up because 4 cents kilowatt.
Yeah,
makes a difference.
Well, that's a massive increase, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about. Like the price of electricity has gone up. Now, again, we've had clients move here from California. Yes, it's true. It happens. People move here from California. Shocking, I know. But they come from areas where like having a generator is something that is required. Yeah, because they have blackouts and brownouts so often that they have to have a generator on backup, which, burns fossil fuels. But in either case, they have to have it there as reserves because the power companies down there cannot keep up because of all of the electrification of what they're doing down there, all of the, the cars and everything that they're doing down there. And so there's so much to go into here. But I'm kind of for it all. I just wish that the electric companies were sitting around with a bunch of clean, renewable energy on their hands going, we've got all the power. If you guys all want to electrify now, go ahead. We've got all the power you guys need. But I'm worried that they come after us first, right? And say, you guys have to electrify everything.
And then they deal with repercussions.
They can't keep up with the load.
Yeah.
Right? Not only that, but let's just say that they were keeping up with the let's just say that they could keep up with the load based upon their current output. Let's say they were just able to magically double it all, but it was at the same numbers. Check this out. This is the current makeup of the electricity used here in Oregon, where it comes from. If we're trying to make this greener, 24% comes from natural gas. So let's get rid of natural gas and then buy it from the electrical company that creates it burning natural gas. Doesn't that seem like an oxymoron, like jumbo shrimp? Same thing with coal, 21%, which is also not good. Hydro is great. Hydro is a clean, renewable resource, right? And that's 38%. But like, what about this other almost 50%, 45%, 46% of the power that's made that they want us to change to?
Mm-hmm.
So stop burning natural gas and then buy power from us, and we'll make it out of natural gas.
Well, this is interesting. Geothermal's here too.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that's going to change too, because these stats are from 2021.
This is it's like a little.
Oh, I see.
You can play this little chart, and it kind of shows how it changes a little, and it just goes through its thing. Now, the other thing that we should also mention, in fairness to this entire movement, is that the state does have mandates on the power companies that the power companies are supposed to become greener. Okay, they are supposed to become greener, but at what expense? Because all electricity rates are doing is going up. They're just going up. They're going up crazy. 40% in 2 years is a lot. So again, if there was all kinds of power everywhere, then we could do that.
The Bend codes haven't come into play, but they are looking at that, because in your government affairs class, so you were, or not class, but group, you guys were talking about that. So, and normally Bend follows Portland or follows other cities, and they kind of lead the way. It's kind of the same thing with like the energy score.
So there's a state issued mandate coming down from Oregon, from the top cheeses at the state, and they want the entire state to be greener and more energy efficient. And the home energy score that we're all required to do when you sell your house, that's a part of it. And now they're coming after natural gas. They're coming after natural gas, and we would actually, it's funny because when I first heard about this, if Bend implemented something when I first heard about it before this Ashland story, we would have been the first city in the state. Oregon loves to lead and things like that. However, Ashland beat us to it. So Bend is looking at doing some sort of natural gas restriction.
Yeah. Ashland
did it first. Everybody's trying to figure out which way they can do this. Now, Eugene proposed this a couple of years ago. They were going to be the first state to put some sort of natural gas restrictions in place. However, Berkeley down in California.
What I was just thinking. You said that.
Yeah. Berkeley down in California started it a few years ago, and they implemented something, and they were immediately smacked down with lawsuits, and they put that whole thing on pause. And when they put that whole thing on pause, Eugene put the whole thing on pause. They put their thing on pause.
And Ashland's like, we're going to do it.
We're going for it. Exactly. So, again, really, really, really interesting stuff. I really hope that we're able to put the horse ahead of the cart instead of the cart ahead of the horse here. I think that there needs to be more emphasis on helping the actual power companies produce this energy first before we go and gobble it all up with our furnace, with our water heaters, with our ranges. Like, think about all of the energy that we use with gas appliances, and now push that all to our grid. Not only that, but how much more
retrofit houses too. Like if something goes out, like your furnace, and then you have to go buy a new one, and then you have to electric. You have to buy electric, and like if you have to retrofit a house, your breaker box won't be able to handle it. Like I think about some of our rentals, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like we could not retrofit that. Well, because the breaker boxes won't allow it.
They're maxed out. So you have to have a new breaker box. You have to have new lines run from the curb, from the street. And then you need a whole new breaker box to put a furnace in, or to put a car charger in, or to put a, whatever it happens to be.
Or just make more incentives for everybody to have solar, or that to help. I mean, I like solar. It's nice.
Yeah, solar is nice. I agree. So like I said, there's a lot to this. The city may do more education stuff. They may go into the codes and they may mandate new construction has to change. I don't think that it's really feasible to make everybody change.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if like every home?
Well, I think they also need to talk to the people. What do the people want?
Yeah, we talked with the city actually about this, and that's kind of funny because they're like, "Oh yeah, in all our focus groups, everybody wants everything to be more green." I'm like, "Okay, well,
where were these focus groups?
Where were these focus groups, and how do you say that this is more green? Like 50% of our power is still coming from coal and natural gas. All you're doing is shifting the blame from
taking one pocket and putting in the other.
Kind of. Again, if they had, 70% was hydro, or even if it was 38% hydro, and then like 24 to 25, 30% was nuclear, or was geothermal or solar, or this solar was the size of this gray one here, like that would be like, okay. And you could show how you could scale it and actually have that much more power available for everyone. The other thing is, in California, they got these brownouts, right?
Yeah.
That sucks. But here in Oregon, when we lose power, it's cold at night.
Yeah.
If there's no power, what's the backup? Here, if we lose power, the backup is we'll turn on our fireplace.
Yeah.
We stay warm at night in the winter. Yeah. If you lose power in the winter, electricity, and you don't have any natural gas in your house.
Yeah.
You going to freeze?
And your pipes are going to freeze. And yeah.
I don't know that makes a whole lot of sense either. Feel free to blow this video up. I know we're going deep here. I knew this was going to happen. We're 17 minutes in. we're on the first story.
Topic number 2. I mean,
oh, dang.
I hope people have some opinions on this.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on this because
it's
interesting.
Maybe there's a point we're missing here.
What don't we know?
Tell us, many things.
Tell us. All right, let's go ahead and move on. All right, move over. Single family homes. Oregon's latest code shakeup is paving the way for stacked duplexes in denser living like never before.
This is. Is there a photo of this?
No, I don't think so. Let's pull it up. So, Oregon code changes paves the way for stacked duplexes. Now, here's the thing.
Going vertical.
We have talked about needing more housing. That's a big part of this show. It's a big part of everything right now. I was actually speaking with the city last week, and they have no appetite to do anything else, which I thought was actually really encouraging as far as the city goes, except for affordable housing. Good for them. That's what we need to be working on. That's where the focus needs to be on. So this is regarding building codes. Now, for those of you who don't necessarily know, building a house is easy. Building a duplex is actually pretty easy. But when you get a little bigger than that, when you get bigger than 4 units connected, a fourplex connected by the side, when you get bigger than that, you get into commercial building codes. And commercial building codes are a lot more expensive, far more expensive to build. You have to put in sprinkler systems. You have to be reinforced with different things. This is actually a cool thing that Oregon did. They're now allowing stacked duplexes connected. And that was another little nuance in the code where you couldn't do stacked duplexes. So this should make it easier for developers to go vertical with building multifamily, but it's not under the multifamily code. It's just under the residential, the other. So
your footprint is going to be smaller. So you can, technically can people, instead of just building a ADU in the backyard, they could build a stacked duplex.
Ooh, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of where the garage is going to go, but.
Well, we don't need parking restrictions in Bend right now either. They got rid of those too because they want more density. You don't need cars.
Who needs cars?
So you don't need parking space. You don't need garages. So anyway, I think this is a good thing. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this one, but this should loosen up some extra building. Developers for building more units on less land, which is kind of always the goal that they're going for there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got. What else are we going to talk about today? Yeah, we talked about the turning up the heat on utility companies. Utility companies, technically, they usually raise rates in the winter because electricity is harder to make, and people can't afford it. And there was a article about somebody who keeps their thermostat at 50 degrees in the winter because they can't afford the energy. Again, the more energy you ask from the company, the harder it's going to be for them to produce.
Yeah.
And the more they're going to have to charge for it. So people are worried about gas. In one of the articles on the Ashland thing, they were talking about how the natural gas price has gone up. Like, okay, but what do you think is going to happen to the electrical price? Like the electricity prices, like they're going to go up too. Way up. Gas is way cheaper here in Central Oregon anyway.
Housing market.
Yeah.
You have less inventory and higher demand, it's going to go up.
Economics 101.
Yeah.
All right. Here's an interesting one. Here's a good one. Deschutes County is gearing up for a fiery showdown, filing a mass appeal to challenge the newly drawn wildfire hazard map.
Which we talked about that on the previous podcast.
Exactly. Yep. We actually have two different, here, let me see if I pull these guys up here. This one, and here we are. We actually have two different articles here, both of them talking about this. Senator Broadman calls for a full repeal of the Oregon wildfire hazard map. And then another article right next to it. Nope, that's not it. I don't have it up. Talking about how Deschutes County commissioners voted 2-1 to also put this mass appeal out there to get rid of the wildfire hazard map. Now, let's talk about what this kind of means, because we talked about this a month ago. It doesn't mean anything. This map, it kind of does. You got something?
Yeah, I mean, it's painting people's property as hazardous. Therefore, correct. You go up on any, Zillow, Redfin, all of these different platforms, and they're going to tell you what is your
extreme
fire code.
Yeah,
apparently, I'm in an extreme fire zone, and I have a fire hydrant in front of my house. So I'm really confused by this, but when you look at this, and these are the platforms if you look at it purely from a real estate point of view, people see this, they've never been to the home. They don't know what it's surrounding. They don't know what it's like. All they're doing is they're judging it from these platforms.
If they're relocating.
Yeah. And it devalues people's personal property without them having any control over it.
So the only thing that this map does, is it basically they haven't even put in I don't even think that they've tied the codes to the map yet.
Yeah.
But they are going to come up with newer building codes that are more fire preventative, fire restrictive, right? And they're going to attack those new building codes to new construction or significant remodels. Sometimes that if you do a big remodel, they make you follow the new codes to homes that are in those high danger areas.
I fully agree with.
But shouldn't we do that?
We should do that. And especially like if you go south, all of those homes that are built in the woods that there's no fire hydrant, there's nothing to help these homes. They should have other regulations that are for building standards in those areas. And I know that this fire map doesn't affect insurance, which insurance companies have their own map that they deal with.
Yep.
But I mean, you see it already in South County.
One more time.
What?
The insurance thing.
Insurance companies have their own fire map that they go on.
Yes.
They don't use this fire map. And
correct.
But I mean, we're already seeing it with homes down there. I mean, there is so much product down there. They're sitting and the standard of building a 1976 home down there is different than what the regulations would be now set in place. Yeah. And so it's hard to get insurance on these homes and stuff. But I think there's a lot of people are scared.
Yeah.
You don't want your largest investment being devalued.
I totally understand the outrage on this fire map. But again, insurance companies don't care about this map. This means nothing to them. They are raising insurance. It is a problem. It's not this fire map's problem. It's not because of this map. It's just because of the wildfires that we've had.
Gonna, rename it. It's not the wildfire map. It's wildfire building codes. Or
yeah, exactly. That's actually a pretty good idea. They just need a market. They just need to remarket this.
It's funny. I mean, it's like.
But people are really up in arms about this.
I know.
And I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But I think you're right. I think it needs to be more of a marketing play. I think I need to remarket this a different way, because it's not actually the map that's telling you that your insurance rates are going up. And that's the biggest thing that we hear from everybody that's opposed to this.
What was it, like 2 years ago that came out?
It was in 2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah.
Big uproar. They took it back, retooled it, made some of the areas that were high fire hazard, took that off, made it less so, and then re-released it. And then it sat there and percolated for a couple of weeks, and now we're getting the outrage.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of interesting. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We can move on. Oh, this is good. This is the one that connects.
These all go hand in hand.
This is the one that connects. Bend is the third smokiest city in the country.
Agreed.
Agreed. Let me see here. So where is it? Where's my little thing? Hold your breath, folks. Bend just got crowned the nation's third smokiest city, according to a recent survey. Now, that's true. Go, you got some. Go ahead.
No, you're just really cheesy with these like one-liner things you got going on.
Bend is the third smokiest city in the country. New study finds. Look, it's third next to like two other Oregon cities, I think. What are the other Oregon cities? Let's see if we can find it. I'll pull it up here real quick so everyone can see it. Where are the cities? What is it?
It's kind of like, I mean, we get the wind from Washington. If Washington's on fire, and then if California's on fire, and then we have our fires, and it just all kind of pools over Oregon.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to get to all that. Actually, I got some cool stats here.
Yeah, those are actually really interesting, because I mean, growing up here, I do not remember it this smoky at all. And I tell people that are moving here, and which is actually really funny, because the stats kind of validate what I tell people. I'm like, it's like 3 weeks out of the year you're going to have smoke. Now the level of smoke changes. Some years we don't have as bad. Some years they start, control burning in June, and it really makes you mad, because you're like, let us have 1 month of summer, without smoke, because it does normally happen towards the end of July and August.
Yes.
But I do think that there's ways around that. A good AC, air filtration system. Those are things like I never really used to value an AC as much as I do now, because it is miserable if you can't open your windows.
So here's what's really weird about this is that, like you said before, you don't remember it being this. Yeah. You don't remember it being this smoky in the past, and it wasn't. So from 1989 to 2016, okay, that's quite a long time. Bend had 10 days.
80s was a wild time.
The 80s was a wild time. If you're a Blue fan, you know what we're talking about. Bend had 10 days with unhealthy air quality. That's nothing. 10 days over all that. I mean, 0.4 days per year. Like, it was almost nothing. However, from 2017 to 2022, Bend had 58 days. 58 days in 5 years with unhealthy air quality, or 9.7 days per year. That's a lot. That sucks. People get on our YouTube channel all the time. If you're listening, you need to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. If you're watching, you're already on our YouTube channel. Check out some of our other videos, but we talk about, like, people get on our channel all the time. They give us, they shade our channel because they're like, oh, all you do is talk about the good things of Bend and blah, blah, blah. We have a video on Wildfire. We do talk about it. We're talking about it right now. But it is weird because it wasn't always a problem.
It wasn't always a problem. And I would like to know what the difference is between 1989 to 2016. Like, what was the big change? What was the code that was enforced, or something like that? Is it forest management? Is it all of these things that are kind of just all coming to a head, and now we have fires? Or you got more people moving to the area, you got more people out in the woods, you got more people perhaps that accidentally have a spark from their car and start a forest fire. So it's pretty crazy.
So here's the little trend here that talk about more notes. From 1989 to 2012, Bend had 0.3 days per year with unhealthy air quality, but from 2013 to 2023, Bend has 8.3 days per year with unhealthy air quality. That's unhealthy air quality. That's not just some smoke in the air. That's like really bad smoke in the air.
Yeah. I never knew what the AQI was before. now.
Before about 2015, 2016, 2017. Like that's.
And if you don't know what the AQI is, it's a little measurement that says, "Hey, what is the AQI for the day, Alexa?" And Alexa tells you.
The air quality index.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, it's not just fires from local. It's not just fires here. Smoke from wildfires in Oregon and Northern California. They also contribute to these hazy conditions, and also smoke from wildfires. Like what says, like the Pete's Lake fire in 2023, it just comes into Bend and smokes us out. Also, it's like you said before, prescribed burns.
Yeah.
So we're trying to clean up the forest around us so that we're not as prone to getting wildfires coming into town, because that would be terrible. They're cleaning it up, but then again, they clean it up on like the first nice day in June when everyone's like, "Yay, summer!" and then they smoke us out on purpose.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer.
I think it's, wildfires are real, and it's something that you have to, does it affect your livelihood and all the goods, checks and balances with Bend, in Central Oregon in general, because it does affect, Redmond. It affects all of Central Oregon.
Yeah. Certainly it does.
Yeah.
So look, folks, this is coming to you like literally live. Wildfire smoke is a real thing here. It does happen. It is here. It is a big problem. We are the third smokiest city in Bend. In the country. Sorry. I would just be shocked if it. I'm shocked all the time. I'd be shocked if it continues. I feel like maybe it was just can we just say maybe it was 5 bad years in a row or 6 bad years in a row?
Yeah. We need to make some big changes if.
I think that if this continues, heck, I won't like it. You know what I mean? Like you've spent all of your life here. I've spent more than half of my life here.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it a lot more before the last 5 years in the summer because there wasn't as much smoke.
No, you can't go camping when it's 3 miles away. There's a forest fire and you don't know which way it's going, or even the smoke in general. You can't go mountain biking in that. You can't go do things that you want to do. The reasons why you live here, if it continues to get worse. Count
me an eternal optimist, but I really think it will get better. If you flip a quarter, 1,000 times, every once in a while, you'll get 10 or 15 in a row that are all tails. Won't you?
Yeah.
I think. And then, but don't worry, because maybe better years are coming. Maybe the heads are coming, right? So, all right. Last story we're going to touch on here real quick. And this is a funny story that I was trying to surprise Shannon. We went over here yesterday, and because I knew we were going to talk about it today. And we had this thing going on for a long time. There was a building in town, and it moved, and they were going to move their business, and they moved the whole building across town, and then they lost their lease. It was really sad, and the whole thing was just kind of a big bummer. Does anybody out there remember the Spoken Moto? Like it was like a food truck lot kind of thing. It was anchored by this building, the Pine Shed.
It was a coffee shop.
It was a coffee shop called Spoken Moto. Well, Dogwood becomes first major milestone in Bend Central District Revitalization project. This is cool. They finally relocated the Spoken Moto building. I don't know where it was sitting the whole time, but it was somewhere. They finally relocated
an old building.
They finally moved this building, and now it is the centerpiece of a new,
urban renewal project kind of thing.
Centerpiece of a new. I like the way you said that.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
good.
Which the Bend Central District is going to be really. It could be really cool, and it's kind of bridging that whole Hawthorne Bridge type thing, new city hall, that kind of stuff. The platform, right? Is that what that's called?
Yes.
And all of that. Just
over the parkway.
Over the parkway from downtown. There's a lot of cool businesses down there and stuff. And this is like a very hip and trendy place to go hang. Like I'm excited about it. Go ahead and tell the story though.
Oh yeah. So the Dogwood, it was a really kind of a swanky bar that was downtown.
Very cool.
Right next to Boss Tourist downtown. Very cool bar. We'd go there every once in a while if we were going to eat, if we were downtown or whatever. And so we hear the Dogwood opens up. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And they keep showing these photos. And I was like, well, that looks like the building that the
Spoken Moto.
Spoken Moto was at. finally, I did some research. It is the same building, and then they built a food truck lot around it, which they've got that.
Those well.
They've got that red beard barbecue guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's got good barbecue.
He's got good barbecue.
And he's a redhead.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm really excited to go here, and I tried to take Shannon to this place yesterday. Oh, there's a whole lot of story right there.
Wow.
There's nothing there. Mm-hmm. It's just that's it. Okay, well then we don't gotta look at that more. Anyway, so I tried to take her there, and there was all this road construction. We couldn't access the Dogwood at all. They were blocked up. We drove around for 10 minutes trying to figure it out, and then we were late for our next appointment. So we still haven't been there yet, but we're gonna go later this week.
Chance to eat some food.
I know. It's kind of sad. But anyway, this is really cool. And what Shannon said is that this is kind of the centerpiece of a new revitalization project in that Bend Central District. It is right on Hawthorne. Mm-hmm. And that bridge that they are going to build eventually is going to come and connect it right there. And what I don't know that anybody really knows this might be breaking news.
Ooh.
The city of Bend, City Hall is planning to relocate over there.
Mm-hmm.
Across the parkway, across Hawthorne Bridge. They're going to create a plaza. They're going to create some entry-level housing.
Not quite the east side yet, because you really got to cross 3rd Street. Like, come on over, west side people.
Exactly. But yeah, City Hall's planning to move over there from downtown, which is, I had no idea. And we've been almost kind of critical of that bridge. Like, where's it going? There's nothing over there.
It's going right into City Hall.
It could be going right into City Hall. Yeah, actually, which I think is like, oh, well, all of a sudden that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So
I think all of the beautification of Bend, like when they started doing the sidewalks on the east side, trying to make it apples to apples, like make everything walkable, even on this east side versus like the west side had more sidewalks and stuff like that. And it's all helping kind of revitalize and make it all look nice.
It's probably a number of years away, but it could be a very, very, very cool area there in the future. What do you guys think? Are you stoked about the Hawthorne Bridge connecting to the Central District? And what do you know about the new developments that are coming to the Central District? Maybe next week we should talk about the platform again.
Yeah.
We could bring that up. I think we talked about that, but it was a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So could talk about that again. All right, guys, we should probably wrap this up. We're well over the 30-minute mark, and that's what we like to keep these to is 30 minutes. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And be sure to share this with your friends if you're still listening. Please share this with your friends. That's super important. We'd like this to grow. We'd like everybody in Bend and everybody that's thinking about relocating here to check out this podcast and listen to it every other week. Mm-hmm. And we'll cut it off there.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.